What should you look out for if you are planning to build the amphitheater, and is it actually worth it to invest so much into this monument? Well, the good news is yes, it is very much worth it. No, I'm not just talking about the buffs themselves, but also the active modifier you can choose, and we will definitely take a look at that later in the video. But it is absolutely worth it. The range of that thing in your city is pretty big. You can see here that I nearly reached the end of the other side of my island, and that is a lot of buffs you are getting per population, and I do highly recommend to build it. But with that said, let's start at the beginning. What do you have to look out for? Well, first of all, you have to reach, of course, tier 4 before you can even start this. And then you need a pretty big area where you want to build this. And not just the area itself you need for the building, you will also need space if you haven't the people for this. But we will get to that in just a minute. So again, find a place where you can also reach most of your population, right? As I showed this before, you definitely want to get that. And then you need enough room for that. Now, what is very different to the amphitheater is that when you build it, you are not immediately building the building, right? What you are seeing here, which is the construction cost, is basically the first tier of the arena. It's the foundation you build. And then you have to start the progress of actually building it. So with that said, let's jump into the first foundation, which you can see right here. And if you want to continue to build this, you need in total 150 timber, 300 concrete, and 150 ropes for the first phase. Now, you can slowly acquire this over time, so you don't need those resources immediately. And even if you have all the resources, it will take 30 minutes to just finish that one phase. But what is far more critical is the amount of workforce you need. You can see right here that you need 427 libertarians. Now, you can, of course, if you so desire, actually take workforce from other buildings around your city, but that probably means you will cripple your economy. And what I did instead is I just built a bunch of houses here, right? This whole area later on will be a bunch of houses, which I then upgrade over time and which are just there to work on this whole thing. And when you have reached phase 2, well, you can just say, okay, I'm done here. I want to go over in phase 2, which you can see right here. This is now the next phase, phase 3, and you can see that you need 150 concrete, 300 tiles, then again 300 marble, and 150 roads. Also, please keep in mind that in the later phases, before you can even start to get to this screen, you need a certain amount of people living in your town, and we'll tell you exactly. And it's actually quite a bit. I think later on you will need like over 2,000 tier 4 people living into your city. So please keep that in mind. Speaking about more people you need in your city, again, for this phase, you will also take 30 minutes. And you need now a workforce of 244 plebeians. And yes, that is of course less than the previous one, but this time it is the tier 2 people you need, and you will need far more buildings or you have to upgrade them all. Like, the biggest issue with the amphitheater is actually the amount of people you need to build this, right? It will put an enormous strain on your economy, and if you don't have those people, then you have to build a lot, and yeah, again, that puts an enormous strain on you. Now, with that said, let's have a look at the next tier, which is now tier 3, which you can see here, and you need 300 tiles again, 300 marble. This time you also need 300 mosaics, which is probably the biggest problem you will have to acquire. 300 concrete, and yes, 60 gold. So you need some gold mines, and then you have to produce some gold. Or you can just trade it, but keep in mind gold is relatively expensive. Again, 30 minutes of production. You can also now see that the production itself is locked, and I need 2,250 of the patricians, and you will need a workforce of 183 of the tier 3 people. So that is a lot of houses you will need, and you will also need a lot of upgrades, which again puts a lot of pressure and strain on your economy. But this is not the end, even though it looks like it. We will now go into the next phase, which is also the end product. Now, you might be asking, wait, why did you call it a phase? It's not really a phase. Like, again, the Colosseum is then done and you will get all the buffs. But what is far more important is now the, let's call it, permanent phase, or the permanent thing you can activate in your theater. And you can see that right here with the plus. And when you are clicking on it, you have now multiple choices you can do. The first one is the local gladiator game, which is basically the size of the game, which is the smallest one. Then, of course, you have the grand gladiator games. And last but certainly not least is the great Naumatia? Naumatia? I don't know how to pronounce this. And every one of them needs a certain amount of workforce, mostly patricians, a certain amount of denarii, a preparation time, and then the event duration. And you will also need some resources, you can see right here. But every time you activate it, you can see that this will basically unlock more and more rewards till you have then reached Fame 3. Then you can start to go down here with the Amphitheater, Fame 4, and then you are getting more and more buffs running in the background there whenever you activate it. And in itself, yes, you need a lot still, right? Like, look at this. The last level is literally so much stuff you need to get this even running. The money, the people, the resources. It's insane what you need later on. You might ask, is this worth it? And the answer is yes, it is. It absolutely is. I mean, trade revenue 25%, or this one, productivity of bread chain and wine chain on the island by 50% increased. Then you're also getting the prestige. You get weapons chain, armor chain 50%, Amphitheater on the island is getting a bigger boost. Like, you see that those buffs are relatively specific, all things considered, but nonetheless, there's some huge boost. I mean, this one in its own, look at this. The trade prices are going down, but the good transfer speed is going up, and more importantly, the attack speed of your ship is getting improved here, right? Like, it's a very, they're really, really good. And to be completely honest, this looks like a lot of resources, but also when you have reached this point in your playthrough, it doesn't really mean that much. It's not that much of a big deal that it would bankrupt you, or you cannot really prepare the amount of resources you need for this. I mean, you can see it here on my stats, right? I have a lot of money, I make a lot of money, I have tons of resources ready, and I could even run the biggest event if I wanted to. There are a few things I don't have yet because I have been ignoring that a little bit, but yeah, it's not a big deal at that point anymore. But even if you are not ready for that yet, the smaller games, the local gladiator games, you can definitely stomach. So that's what you have to look out for when you are building the amphitheater. I very much enjoy building this, and I would have loved to see more of those. Like, the marvels have definitely been one of the most fun parts in Anno 117, right? it really felt like something you were working for, and I would have just loved to see more buildings in that regard. With that said, we are at the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet for more Anno videos, and more importantly, also more strategy games, because that's what we are focusing on here on the channel. For all the regulars who are watching this, this is my last video for this year, because I will now go on vacation till the end of the year, and then I will be back in the first week of the new year with more videos, more live streams, and more content. With that said, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great rest of your year. And we'll see you next year. And more importantly, stay safe. Bye bye.